Good morning. My name is Thomas Feely. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Charlotte. Your comfort zone is your home. It's what's normal. It's where you feel secure, and it's a beautiful place, but nothing grows there. There are times in your life when you have to push the walls of this space out and expand yourself as a human being. We do this our entire lives, but in different ways. When we were younger, it's about conquering miscellaneous fears and anxieties. But as you get older, it's about overcoming the limits you set upon yourself and the limits set upon you by society. It's about doing what has to be done and doing what is right, even if it comes at sacrifice. We all find it easier to do everything through the internet. Donating money to a cause is noble, but it doesn't push yourself as a person. The people who hear the call to action and follow it, even if it is harder or riskier or uncharted territory, are the difference makers in this world. They are the leaders, the warriors, and the future. The call to action does not have to be overseas. It can be right at home. It can be something that seems small and insignificant, and is easier just to ignore than to try and change. But when the need for real action calls us out of our comfort zone, we must do what is right, what we as Unitarians know is right.
To safety. I urge you to step forward and to try new things, uncomfortable things. Never take a step backwards. We light the chalice this morning in the hope you will be able to take these steps outside your comfort zones, large or small.
young and young at heart to come forward for our story for all ages. Please bring the green sticker you received when you walked in. The story we will be reading today is called Little Blue and Little Yellow. This is Little Blue. Here he is at home with Mama Blue. Little Blue has many friends, but his best friend is Little Yellow, who lives across the street. How they love to play hide and seek and ring around the rosy. In school, they sit still in neat rows. After school, they run and jump. One day, Mama Blue went shopping. "You stay at home," she said to Little Blue. But Little Blue went out to look for Little Yellow. Alas, the house across the street was empty. He looked here and there and everywhere until suddenly, around a corner, there was Little Yellow. Happily, they hugged each other and hugged each other until they were green. Then they went to play in the park. They ran through a tunnel. They climbed a mountain. When they were tired, they went home. Mama Blue said, "You are not our Little Blue. You are green." And Mama Yellow said, "You are not my Little Yellow. You are green." Little Blue and Little Yellow were very sad. They cried big blue and yellow tears. They cried and cried and cried until they were all tears. When they finally pulled themselves together, they said, "Will they believe us now?" Mama Blue was very happy to see their Little Blue. She hugged and kissed him, and Little Blue and Little Yellow hugged too. But look, they became green. Now they knew what had happened, and so they all went across the street to bring the good news. They all danced with joy, and the children played until supper time. The end. So this concludes our story. We invite everyone to put on their green stickers now in solidarity with our yellow and blue families who came together as green. You may now go back to your seats.
Hello, my name is Riley Nelson. When the Black Lives Matter marches broke out in Charlotte last year, I heard from a few peers that I had met at my previous high school that they would be attending the protests. I myself had the urge to join the community and show my support in any way possible. However, when brought up around people in my new school, the reaction was not the same. I was told it's good I'm recognizing the issue, but that it wasn't exactly my place as a white person to be at the root of the action. These answers were coming from a majority of white peers of mine. My fire to take on the streets then flickered. I still had the same rage and upset towards racial injustice in my city, my state, my country. But were these people right? Have I stepped over a line? I can give love, support, and strength with all my heart, but truth is still there. I will never understand the depth of hardships that comes with being a person of color in today's world. Does the line I am afraid of crossing exist because I myself cannot get past the discomfort I hold towards my own people, or is it there to remind me of realistic boundaries? There is reasonable discomfort, and then there is unneeded discomfort. I want to be a part of the change, but I don't know how to do it correctly. What would you do?
Hello, I am Grace Friedheim, and I am a senior at East Mecklenburg High School. I am a part of a club called Common Ground at East Mech that was started last year by 2 students. The purpose of the club is to connect with students who are immigrants and/or refugees within our school and local community. Last year, on World Hijab Day, a day in which women of all religious backgrounds are invited to wear and experience a hijab, the president of the club encouraged us, along with other students, to participate in this event and wear hijabs to show that we stand with the Muslim community. Everyone in the club was on board with the idea, and we felt ready for the day to come. However, the night before, a white, non-Muslim East Mech student used a social media platform, Instagram, to voice her frustration and anger about the idea of non-Muslim students wearing a hijab. I personally was a little shocked by her strong reaction. In my head, I thought of this day as a time to unify all different kinds of people, no matter their race or religion. To form my own opinion, I turned to Google to learn more about this controversy from others, including Muslim women. As I continued to read, I began to feel more and more uncomfortable with the idea in participating in something that is actually very controversial. I began to ask myself, why does this make me uncomfortable? If I'm showing my support, why does it matter that I am not Muslim? In the end, it was decided that we would wear green because it symbolizes Islam. And over time, I still come back to these questions. The idea of wearing a hijab is more meaningful than I could ever fully understand. During my research, I read why some Muslim women did not want others to wear one. To them, a hijab is not something that is put on once and then taken off until the next World Hijab Day. To them, wearing one shows their spirituality. It is a personal choice to bear their religion. Sometimes it's good to go outside of your comfort zone. But in this case, I did not want to disrespect the individuals I was trying to support. I felt uncomfortable in this situation because if I were to wear a hijab in school, I would be wearing something that does not hold the same value to me as it does to a Muslim woman. What would you do?
Morning. I'm Thomas Morton. It seems that most prejudice is caused by ignorance, and that once prejudiced people are willing enough to step out of their comfort zone and actually get to know the people that they are prejudiced against, then they will be more accepting. A good example is in my own family. I'm half Chinese from my mom's side and half Caucasian from my dad's side. When my dad was dating my mom, my uncle was very disapproving and believed that my mom should keep the bloodline strictly Chinese. Though most people would say he's just bigoted, it turns out that his prejudice, like most people's, was based entirely on ignorance. My mom grew up in an area that was mostly populated by other Asians, and that had a very strong effect on members of her family, especially my uncle. However, once he took the time to spend time with my dad, he had a very strong it had a very strong effect on him, and they became good friends. This story, I believe, shows that the best way to combat bigotry is to allow people we see as bigoted to connect with people they dislike. Unfortunately, in most cases, including my uncles, they're usually forced into this uncomfortable position to achieve these goals. It is strange to believe that someone with such a strong ideology could be persuaded just by stepping out of his comfort zone and talking to someone he didn't agree with. Are you willing to step out of your comfort zone? What would you do?
Hi, my name is Amanda Walls. My friend invited me to a Hispanic birthday party with her family. Everybody was dancing and having a good time. I was the only white person there, which for some reason made me feel very uncomfortable. My friend took me around to each of her family members and introduced me to them. They were all so nice and so funny. Even after I'd been introduced to everyone, I still felt uncomfortable. Finally, the mariachi band arrived, and everybody gathered outside to listen and dance to the music that was provided for us. As people danced and I started to recognize the dances, I had a little experience from my friends. I wanted to dance so bad, but was very shy. Then suddenly, the birthday girl took my hand and took me to the dance floor. My heart was racing. I couldn't say no. It was her birthday. So I went along with it and danced with her anyways. I could feel eyes on me in all directions. Then I heard murmuring, and then a few people said, "Wow, that gringa," or white person, can dance. As if they were surprised just because I was white. How would you react?
My name is Amelia Hagan, and this past summer, my sister and I visited our grandparents in Florida while our parents went away for their 15th wedding anniversary. After a lovely day at the Kennedy Space Center, we found ourselves at a restaurant for dinner. The four of us took our seats, and the waitress made her way to our table and handed out menus. We gave her our drink orders, and my grandfather excused himself to the bathroom. We exchanged some small talk, and then suddenly, my grandmother turned to my sister and I and said, "Girls, I remember there used to be a little colored boy in my class when I taught 5th grade who came up to me one day and said, 'Mrs. Stoller, I can't do it anymore. I can't talk like you white folk.' And I just felt so bad for him." She followed this statement with a light-hearted chuckle. I was dumbfounded. I had never before heard a person use language such as that to describe a human being. I had seen it in film, I had read about it in books, but here it was, happening in front of me. Here was a person who I loved dearly using derogatory and inappropriate language to talk about a child. She was not a peer, she was my grandmother. She was someone I wanted to laugh and to talk with, not fight. How could I stand up for what I felt was right and not offend her? What would you do?
Good morning. My name is Shane Fogarty. Last year, during the peak of the protests in Uptown Charlotte and the Black Lives Matter movement, I faced a conflict of my own. A classmate of mine sent a message out to nearly every black student in my grade, saying something along the lines of, "Wear black tomorrow to show support for the Black Lives Matter protests." Although I had not attended any protests or marches for the movement, I knew that I supported it. So I was confused why I, along with every other non-black classmate of mine that also supported the movement, had not received the same message. Regardless, I wore a black shirt the next day, and I was glad to see that I wasn't the only one. At least a third of our class, blacks and non-blacks, were showing support for the movement. Later that day, I heard the classmate that sent the message talking about the amount of people wearing black. However, she was not impressed by the turnout like I was. In fact, she seemed angry about the fact that so many non-black students were supporting the protests. After all, we would never know what it was like to be exposed to the racism that many of my black classmates had faced. I understood why she was upset, but I still left school that day in conflict. Should I step back and let the community affected figure out their problems? Or try to help out, even though my help may not always be welcome? What would you do?
Hello, my name is Emily Robinson. When I tell other students or parents of students who go to surrounding high schools that I attend East Meck High School, I often get variations on the same reaction. They'll give me a weird look and a "really?" or an "oh." On one distinct occasion, a middle schooler said to me, "Why would you choose to go there? Don't kids get beat up in the bathrooms all the time?" Reactions like these make me upset. While our test averages may not be the highest, and our buildings might not be the newest, and we definitely don't have the most money, the diverse cultural experiences gained at East Meck have impacted my high school experience in an incredibly enriching way. Most of our fellow community members haven't been in our halls. They haven't seen students in engineering classes working together to build robots. They haven't taken tours and heard student tour guides enthusiastically discuss our IB program, the largest in CMS. They haven't heard the enthusiasm and school spirit our student congress lends to the entire student body. And they most certainly haven't experienced the value of the diversity East Meck possesses. People unfamiliar with the school only see the motley crew of teenagers pouring through the school doors at precisely 2:15 p.m. on any given weekday. Although you can see my stance has most definitely changed, I too was once a holder of these ingrained opinions. While I was unaware of the fact, my 8th grade self was uncomfortable with the idea of going to East Meck, where for once the majority of my peers didn't have the same culture as I did. Looking back on it, I realized I had nearly decided against attending East purely based on the stereotypes perpetrated by people I knew. I had never been inside. Simply the opinions of others managed to make me uncomfortable with the idea of attending such a diverse and culturally rich school. With these stereotypes surrounding you, what would you do?
Hi, my name is Samantha, and this summer I got an amazing opportunity. I was able to travel outside of the country, not once, but twice, both times to countries where English was not the predominant language. My first trip was to Costa Rica, where I was fairly insulated from the local culture because I was with a tour group. However, later that summer when I was in Greece, there was no such layer. I made an effort to learn some Greek before the trip, but once I got to Greece, I found myself too anxious to actually use it. The few times I tried, I came away sure that I had made some huge mistake, and they were silently laughing at me or thinking of me as the clueless American tourist who's trying to speak Greek. However, a few days into the trip, I had a bit of a wake-up. You see, there was this amazing bakery about 5 minutes from our rental house, but there was usually only one English-speaking staff member. And often, our entire 20-odd-sized group was there at one time. So I would usually just point out what I wanted and let my parents handle all the talking. That morning, however, they were unavailable, so I nervously gave Greek a try. Kalimera, I started, which is good morning in Greek. The woman gave me a smile and some rapid-fire Greek, which I didn't understand a word of. I desperately hoped it wasn't a question other than, what would you like, and pointed at the pastry that I wanted. She pulled it out and wrapped it up, handing it to me. Efkaristo, I said, which is thank you in Greek. She said something else in Greek, again, way too fast for me to understand. As I left, she gave me one more smile, and I felt like maybe I didn't always have to stay quiet during a conversation in Greek. But as I was walking back to the car, it got me thinking, what if I was an immigrant in the United States? I mean, I only had to deal with not knowing the first language of a country for a week. Immigrants often have to deal with that for weeks, months, or years on end. People were friendly to me in Greece, but what if I had run into someone who didn't like me, or who was prejudiced against me? That would have led to a lot of discomfort, frustration, anger, and more. What would you do?
Welcome to today's service. We are honored to have guests with us. Our members would like to greet you following the service. So that we might do so, if you are visiting, please raise your hand and keep it up. Members, please take note of the guests seated near you. After the service, invite them to join you for coffee and conversation in Freeman Hall. Should it enhance your experience of future services, you can find a large print order of service and a personal hearing assistance device. It's on the table at the entrance to the sanctuary. If you'd like to learn more about us, please fill out a yellow card. You'll find them, along with offering envelopes, on the clipboards at the end of the row. Please begin passing them down your road. Members with a life event to share can indicate that on the reverse side of the card. Put your completed yellow cards in the offering basket when they are passed later in the service. Some returning visitors may be interested in hearing about how to become a member. If so, talk with our membership coordinator, Kelly Green. Her contact information is on the back of your order of service. Again, to each of you, welcome.
Hi. I'm Peter Green, and I have the pleasure of advising this great group of youth that you see before you today. I would like to refer you to the announcements in your order of service, and I would like to point two out in particular. The first is that after service today, we will be doing Getting to Know Us. So the first Sunday after each service, visitors are invited to an informal Q&A with a UU Church of Charlotte member. Grab a cup of coffee from Freeman Hall and join them downstairs in the conference room. Second is Discovering the UUCC, which will be October 7th. I think that's Friday. Saturday. New or prospective members interested in learning more about UU, this congregation, and membership, join us, facilitated by Reverend Jay Leach, at 9 a.m. with a light breakfast, and they will discover philosophy, history, programs, and organization. Ours is a congregation of community, and like any community, we have both joys to celebrate and concerns to share with each other. We hold in our hearts and prayers Steve Bivens as he deals with a recent diagnosis, Fred and Leisha Dotson as they mourn the death of Fred's mother, Don Ferris and Nancy Cook as Don recuperates from a surgical procedure, Peggy Henderson, who is healing after a bike accident, Joseph and Suzanne Hunt as they mourn the death of Joseph's mother. Our thoughts are also with Emily Katz, who is having back surgery on Monday, and Barbara Searing, who is having spinal surgery on Friday. We all need each other, both to hear us and to provide us the gift of listening. Let us be there for each other today and in the coming week. Thank you.
To be cold.
invite you now to a time of meditation and aspiration. As you allow your eyes to gently close, tune into your body and make any minor adjustments to be comfortable. Now take a deep breath in and out, and in again and out. I offer you the word listen. Listen, listen. Listen to the sounds of the sanctuary that surrounds you, sounds that surround you now, sounds that have surrounded you in other services, in other activities, in other moments of quiet, in other moments of joy. Listen to the quiet, especially the quiet. Listen. Listen to the voices of those around you, voices of relationship. What are those voices telling you about yourself? Listen. Listen to the voice within that speaks of the sanctity of this place. When you are through listening to the voice within, the voices without, then open your eyes, ready to live with awareness. Blessed be.
The purpose of our church is to help us develop our human spirit and being. The church helps us develop our spirituality, and your generous gift allows us to continue exploring our faith. The ushers will now pass around the offertory.
Hello, my name is Elwin Hutchinson. Whether you're building bridges or embarking on a new venture, we all face our comfort zones. They guide us, push us, and stress us, though they do not stop us. We use them as compasses to right and wrong, as well as to form our characters. The pass of time in our lives, the new becoming the old, as well as the unknown becoming the new, brings discomfort. It is our jobs, as leaders and as community members, to face our discomfort both alone and together, without dismissing the lessons new experiences bring. How will we walk forward, viewing discomfort as a tool rather than an obstacle? What will you do? Please be seated for the postlude.